Today's lesson is rational equations. So you're going to see two different types of rational equations to solve. The first set is going to be ones that look like these, where they have a fraction on either side of the equal sign. And when they have that, what we can do is we can just cross multiply them. So we're going to do 7x times 1 and 2 times x plus 5. But when we do 2 times x plus 5, we have to remember to put it in parentheses to make sure that we distribute the 2 to each piece. And 7x times 1 is just 7x. And now we just solve it the same way we normally would. Move the smaller one minus the 2x on both sides. 5x equals 10. Divide by 5. X equals 2. So anytime we have a fraction on each side of the equal sign, this is what we will do to solve it. Yet again, looking at this one, we have a fraction on each side of the equal sign. So we are going to cross multiply. So we're going to do 4 times x plus 3 and 2 times x plus 1. Then we distribute on both sides. And solve. Move the smaller, and then we want to move the 12 because we are trying to solve for x. So 2x equals negative 10. Divide by 2. X is going to equal negative 5. So on this one, I want you to pause the video and try it and see how you do on this and solve, and you will get a nice whole number answer. Once you are done solving it, hit play and see how you did. All right, hopefully you are checking your work right now and seeing if you got 23. If not, look over it, pause the video, see what you did wrong. Make sure you are cross multiplying and then making sure you distribute whatever you have in front of your parentheses to both things inside the parentheses. That's the biggest mistake that most people. The other type of rational equations that you will see have more than 2 terms. So as you see here, we have 3 sets of fractions. And in order to solve these, you must get a common denominator. And what this common denominator does is helps you eliminate the denominator in the fractions overall, because I know you don't like fractions. So what it does is it helps you get rid of them. So here we're looking for what is our common denominator between 4, 8, and 2. And a common denominator is the smallest number that all of them can go into. So since 8 is the biggest number here, that is going to be the smallest number that is even possible for them to all go into. So we want to check, can they all be made into an 8 somehow? And they can. So we can take 4 and times it by 2 on top and bottom. Remember, if you do something to the bottom of a fraction, you have to do it to the top. So we're making 8 our common denominator. So we're going to label that here. Common denominator is 8. We don't need to do anything to the middle fraction, but the last fraction we're going to need to times by 4 top and bottom in order to get it to match. So now that we have written that out in the burgundy, I'm going to write out what we have. 2x over 8 minus 3x over 8 equals 4 over 8. So now that they all have the same denominator, what we can do, we can combine our fractions on the left. So 2x minus 3x both over 8 equals 4 over 8. And since they have the same denominator, and this is the whole point of giving it, you can multiply everything by that 8, and then it eliminates the, or both sides, by the 8, it eliminates the need for the denominator there. So then we just have 2x minus 3x equals 4. And we can solve 2x minus 3x is negative x. Negative x equals 4. We need to get just x, so we divide by negative 1 on both sides. So x equals negative 4. We're going to do a few more of these. I know this is a little complicated. We actually are going to do 2 days of this to make sure that you are fully understanding what we are doing here. All right, looking at this problem, we have denominators of 2 and x, and this one has a denominator of 1. Remember, anything that doesn't have a denominator automatically has a denominator of 1. You can make anything a fraction by putting a 1 underneath it. So our common denominator is going to be 2x. And yes, it can have a letter in it. Some of them are going to need to have letters in them because they are going to have letters in the denominators. So what we want to do is we want to times both things top and bottom of the first fraction by x. to make it have that 2x common denominator. The second fraction, we're going to times by 2 top and bottom. This single 1 with the 1 over 1, we're going to have to times by 2x on top and bottom. And last, we're going to need to times by 2 top and bottom. All right, so now let's write out what we have. We have 3x over 2x plus 2 over 2x equals 2x over 2x plus 8 over 2x. And now that they have the same denominator on each side, you can add together the fractions. 3x plus 2 over 2x equals 2x plus 8 over 2x. And then we can multiply both sides by 2x to get rid of that denominator. Crosses out. So we're left with 3x plus 2 equals 2x plus 8. So now we can solve like normal, minus 2x. So x plus 2 equals 8. Solve minus the 2, x equals 6. And that's it. All right, looking at this set, we want to look and see the only denominator we see is x, so that is actually going to be our common denominator. We just need to make sure that everything has that common denominator. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 1 underneath these things, and then we're going to times them by x, top and bottom. Rewrite what we have. And now we can put our fractions together. And we can multiply both sides by x to get rid of that denominator. So we are left with x plus 6 equals 2x minus 4 minus 3x. We can solve now. We can combine our like terms on this same side here. So x plus 6 equals negative x minus 4. I want to get my x's together, so I'm going to add x to both sides. So 2x plus 6 equals negative 4 minus 6. 2x equals negative 10. Divide by 2. X equals negative 5, sorry. First thing we want to look at here is what is our common denominator. So if we're looking for a common denominator, so we have a 3x and a 4x. So we know it's going to have to be something with x. But what is the smallest number that both 3 and 4 go into? And the answer is 12. So 12x is going to be our common denominator. So now we need to figure out how to make everything have 12x as a denominator. So I'm going to times this first fraction by 4 on top and bottom. Second fraction by 12x on top and bottom. And last one by 3 on top and bottom. Because we need our goal, remember our goal is to get 12x as our denominator for everything. So let's check and make sure we did that. So 20 over 12x minus 12x over 12x equals 9 over 12x. So we have that common denominator for everything. So we can go ahead and put it together. So 20 minus 12x over 12x equals 9 over 12x. So now we can multiply both sides by our common denominator of 12x. It cancels out. So we are left with 20 minus 12x equals 9. So now we want to minus the 20 on both sides because we're just going to solve for x now. And this one's not going to be a pretty answer, and that's okay. Sometimes that happens. So x equals 11 over 12. Sometimes the answers are not nice, pretty numbers, and that's okay. We leave them as fractions. Do not do them as simplified decimals because I think it just continues on forever. All right, looking at this next one, I know it looks more complex. It's actually not as complex as it looks. Finding the common denominator is going to be the key here. So the common denominator is going to be x minus 3, x plus 3. Because if you notice, the first one has x minus 3, the second one has x plus 3, and the last one has both pieces. So that means that the whole denominator is x minus 3, x plus 3, and no, we do not need to worry about multiplying those out. So the first fraction is missing x plus 3 on top and bottom. Second fraction is missing x minus 3 on top and bottom. And the last fraction isn't missing anything. So now we're going to write that out. So 4 times x plus 3 over x minus 3, x plus 3, plus 2 times x minus 3 over x minus 3x plus 3 equals 2x plus 2 over x minus 3, x plus 3. So now that we have that common denominator, we can go ahead and do a little bit of math. What I am going to do first, actually, I am going to go ahead and multiply by the x minus 3, x plus 3 so that I can not have to write it a million times and just deal with my numerators. So I've got 4 times x plus 3 plus 2 times x minus 3 equals 2x plus 2. Now I want to distribute. We solve just like normal. 4x plus 12 plus 2x minus 6 equals 2x plus 2. Now I want to combine my like terms, 4x and 2x, and get 6x. 12 and negative 6 and get positive 6 equals 2x plus 2. Then I want to finish this out by minusing the 2x on both sides. So 4x plus 6 equals 2 minus 6. So 4x equals negative 4. Divide by 4. X equals negative 1. So while that is a lot more work, these are going to be the types of problems that you will see a lot more in your future math classes, and you will need to know how to do. All right, this is the last one, and you are going to do some practice in class that are similar to the first few that we did. So here you need to identify your common denominator first. It's going to be x minus 2, x plus 4. So then the first fraction isn't missing anything. Second fraction is missing x plus 4, top and bottom. Last fraction is missing x minus 2, top and bottom. So then we want to write out what we have. X minus 5 over x minus 2, x plus 4, plus 3 times x plus 4 over x minus 2, x plus 4, equals 5 times x minus 2 over x minus 2, x plus 4. And so now yet again, to get rid of those denominators, so I don't have to write them a million times, I'm going to go ahead and multiply everything by them. So that way, all I have is x minus 5 plus 3 times x plus 4 equals 5 times x minus 2. I'm going to distribute my 3 and distribute my 5. So x minus 5 plus 3x plus 12 equals 5x minus 10. I want to then combine my like terms, x and 3x, and get 4x. Negative 5 and 12 and get 7 equals 5x minus 10. I want to minus the 4x on both sides. I want to always move the smaller of the two. So 7 equals x minus 10. Last step. I want to add 10 to both sides. X equals 17. All right, hopefully this made some sense to you. If it was confusing, we will still be doing some more of it on another video for tomorrow. So hopefully it will help you understand it a little bit more after that and after some practice in class. I think 2 days of this is very much needed because it is kind of a tough concept with a lot of steps. So hopefully you are practicing and asking questions and working with each other on this. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.